Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast with Kate Bradley Chernis. She's CEO at lately.ai. She's a generative AI expert, a music nerd, and an eye cream devotee. Interesting. Today, we're going to talk about your company, lately.ai. This one is brought to you by my company, podfire.com. If you want to start a podcast, if you want to scale a podcast, go to podfire.com. We help you monetize podcasting. And it's also brought to you by the supplement here, Quality of Mind. I use it for focus, for memory, for energy as a busy entrepreneur. So you can go to neurohacker.com/CEO wisdom. Kate, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Thanks, Charles. It's great to meet you. I could use that supplement, it sounds like, because I certainly suffer from, I would say it's CEO-itis, but it's a combination of brain fog and stress. And I mean, I know you know what this is like, right? I've got about like nine holistic helpers that like keep me upright, or at least keep me from not killing myself and other people. I like to joke about.
Right. Well, sleep. How much hours do you sleep per night?
Yeah, I need nine. I need nine, and I sometimes get seven because I wake up in the middle of the night and it's hard to fall back asleep. And the tape starts running of all the things you have to do. So you're supposed to write them down, like keep a journal in bed so they're like at least off your mind and into a box. And sometimes I actually just get up and do them. Depends on like how urgent it is. But I find myself always writing an email in my mind when I'm lying in bed, right? And just going over the words of what I should say or maybe what I should have said, previously. It's kind of weird. I mean, writing is where I live. Like what I do for a living, so it's no surprise that's where my head is. But
So how fast do you get to sleep? How long does it take you until you're unconscious?
no, I conk right out. Like that's
Okay.
good. Tequila helps. I'm not going to lie. But that's my drug of choice, But it's the waking up in the middle of the night that's the harder thing. And I turned 50 this past January, and it like this. Can I swear on your show?
Yeah, you
This shit
can.
is
Sorry.
it's terrible. Like they don't tell women. Women get all this kind of information about like when you're young, you're gonna get your period and all that stuff, but they don't tell you what menopause and premenopause is like. And like it's terrible. Oh my God. And it all happens at once. So it's the sleep, the joint pain, the brain fog, like your period being
Temperature.
all wacky, your wrinkles, the jowls, like your hair falls out, and you're like, oh my God, what is going on? So, anyways, I'm fighting the fight because how I look is certainly tied into how I feel. And when I feel powerful and strong and good and confident, I do a better job at my job. And I mean, that might sound vain, but it's true.
Well, you look very young. You don't look 50, that's for sure. So whatever
Zoom
you do,
helps.
keep on doing. Just the tequila stuff, like, yeah, I mean, we have alcohol in my Irish family alcohol addiction, sort of. So I've
Yeah.
always been careful with that. But yeah, like just a bit of alcohol can um affect the quality of your sleep and can have you actually wake up, you know? Me,
Oh,
my
it's terrible.
my tip of choice when I get to bed, because I used to dream about business. You know, I would make
Yeah.
business with my pillow, whatever that means. So I would wake up and I was like, ah, productive day. Oh shit, I'm actually waking up and starting my day. Um, so I read Wikipedia. I read random stuff on Wikipedia, which
To
has
sleep?
some business value, like oddly enough. But yeah,
Sure.
yesterday I was reading about hobos, you know, like hobos is, yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually a word. It means something. It's not like in the popular culture, like, oh, a hobo in the street. It's like someone that used to go on trains, you know, and
Oh,
train
right.
hop throughout the US. And then I found out about two or three famous hobos, including Jack Dempsey, the
Oh,
heavyweight boxer. And then
yeah.
you go like in this weird rabbit hole and you learn about people and about stuff, and then your brain just shuts down, you know, and you
That's a
get like
great
deep
idea.
sleep.
Yeah, a lot of old movies were based on like hobo journeys. That's really interesting. Well, so I'm reading David Lee Roth has a biography out. It's like not new, but we read I was reading Eddie Van Halen's and then um what's his name? Templeton, the guy, the producer of all their records and Van Morrison records and like anyways. And so then I was like, I need to fill this gap out because like Eddie's version of the story is Crazy Eddie, and then Ted Templeman. His like is pretty straight and narrow and boring, and then David Lee Ross is of course like so out there, jungle, total jungle, and it's hard to fall asleep because it is so entertaining, obviously, but just the act of reading and what I love is like he's such a dog, like to this day, one of his how we all have our isms, like things that you lean on when you say, it's just sort of, naturally. And his, like almost punctuating every sentence he says is, can she come? And her, and her. So he's like, he's still, working the room and anyways. So what I did also want to say, so another nightmare I have, or not a nightmare, but well, dream, I'm going to say nightmare, is a DJ nightmare. Have you ever heard of what these are?
No,
So, so DJ nightmares are when so I used to be a rock and roll DJ, Charles. My last gig was broadcasting to 20 million listeners a day for XM satellite radio. And DJ nightmares are when you like suddenly there's silence, like you've lost control. And we all have them, right? So you wake up and you're like, like I can't find the next record. The silence is going on and I still have them. I've been out of that career for dozens of years and such
very
like that.
interesting. Me, it's like school related because I'm
Yes.
was never a fit at school, like I was always the class clown. They would always put me outside the class and was
Oh,
always like telling me like, "Oh, you should stop doing that. You're gonna get kicked out of school and everything." So yeah, like traumas are interesting, right? I guess I have a
yeah.
psychotherapist and I had like maybe 5 or 10 throughout the years, and it always helps to talk about these and understand why you react emotionally that way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would tell you, anyone listening, like I definitely have PTSD from fundraising and venture capital and sexual harassment, and hostile work environment, like you name it. It's you don't even, or I didn't even know that these things were happening as they were happening, and other people had to sort of eyeball it for me and tell me, this is what this is. You're not at fault. Like you have to just kind of it's really difficult because you do get punched in the face every day, it feels like. And I don't know about you, but like my special skill is seeing the glass half empty.
Really? Why? Tell me more.
Because I'm always looking for the problems, right? And that's a good skill as a CEO. Maybe less of a good skill if you're my husband, of course, because I'm always finding what's wrong. So I do surround myself with other positive people who just are the opposite of me, but like in school, actually, I remember being like in chorus class, and I was always like correcting or criticizing the notes, and my teacher finally put me in charge of like warm-ups because he was so irritated with me. But I what a good skill of his to like take the annoying student and give them a job, right? Um, but
Wow.
yeah, I think like because that's my where I live, I bury the lead, number one. I do that all the time. And I don't give myself credit for the amazing things that I do.
Hmm.
Like I'm not because it's over. Like, oh great, great. It happened. Next. What's next? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so I'm watching Full Swing on Netflix, like yeah, pro golfers, and
Yeah.
there's this guy, I forgot his name, but he's quite an amazing human being. His mom died of cancer. He had testicular cancer himself, and he's like the poster child. Everyone likes him nowadays, and
Mm,
he used to always talking himself down. And
mm,
he said, and his caddy said that all the top players, they're like built different mentally at the top. They think they're winners. They think they're the shit. They're always gonna be like, I'm gonna win this, and they're always positive, right? While this
mm.
guy like downsells himself quite a lot. Do you think that could be the difference between like succeeding just a little bit and succeeding at the top in that case?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I mean, I've recently hired somebody to help me kind of vocalize stuff better because I'm how do I say this? Like it's obvious to me And so it's so obvious that I don't understand why I have to vocalize it. Do you know what I mean? And then I get impatient. So I'm like, why can't you see this? Why can't you read my mind? What the fuck? But I need that bro mentality where like I'm just sitting at the table and I'm putting my balls on the table, honestly, right? I know that's what you need to do. And it's not, it's funny like that you asked this. It's not, somehow it's not natural, but at the same time, I'm the one climbing 512s with like no hesitation to jump on the wall. Like, you know, I don't have that kind of fear of like, I was saying to somebody, oh my God, getting on the stage is really scary. I was doing a pitch and they were like, broadcasting to 20 million people, that's fucking scary, and I was like, oh, that didn't occur to me, you know?
Right. I mean, as humans, we're complex creatures where sometimes we contradict ourselves and there's like
Mhm.
opposites in us. So yeah, but definitely, yeah, that putting your balls on the table is sort of really like New Yorkish and be like, hey, this is my
Yeah,
startup, like fund me and sort of, but me, I'd put it more like taking heroic risks that most people don't take. For example, I signed up um not so long ago to a 100-kilometer race in Puerto Vallarta, which is 88% humidity,
wow.
that's like quite ballsy. Or climbing Everest, or what Sam Altman is doing, like getting fired
Yeah,
from his own company, coming back and still having some sanity. By the way, I'm pretty sure he has some PTSD from that. Um,
sure.
but yeah, like taking big risks that are worthy. Yeah, for sure. Talking about AI, tell me a bit more about your startup and why you decided to go that route.
Yeah, so again, like I didn't actually even know that it was AI when we were building it. So I had from radio, and this is another story for another day. I somehow started to own a marketing agency, and I built a monster spreadsheet system for a little company we all know called Walmart, and I got them 130% ROI year over year for 3 years with what became the prototype for Lately, right? And so in the beginning, our software was designed to replicate those spreadsheets. And the spreadsheets, this is kind of boring, but the spreadsheets were kind of a CRM. The industry at the time was called MRM, Marketing Resource Management, like an organization software platform. And we fancied ourselves as like the SMB version of that. And then we realized it wasn't working. But there was this one feature that I had done for Walmart where essentially at the time you pushed a button and you got 40 social posts that were designed to highlight all the best parts of a blog, for example, and promote the blog. And this is in 20, let's see, generative AI was born in 2014. We launched our company in 2014. Um, but it wasn't until 2018 where somebody came along was like, hey, what you've built is AI. Let us introduce you to like the folks at IBM Watson so we could get some mentorship and all that. For me, Charles, like what I was, and let me just explain Lately to everybody for a second. So what I'm excited about is what are the words that will make people do what you want them to do and some. And so I'll describe the and some a little bit more. When I was in radio, my uber power was turning listeners into fans or customers into evangelists, right? That's the and. You want to make the sale, and then you want to get the megaphone. And at the time, there wasn't social media, the internet really didn't exist, so you couldn't look up people. And so we really leaned into the theater of the mind. And as a podcaster, I know you know all about that, right? So like the theater of the mind, just for the Tracy's in the room, is when your mind fills in the blanks. So it happens when you're reading, right? Because you can't see the story, and it happens when you're just listening, because you can't see the cliche, and you're imagining the music or whatever's going on. And in the act of theater of the mind, imagination, your mind pulls on nostalgia and memory and emotion to help fill that blank. And if you're wielding the mic or you're wielding the pen well, you are allowing for that space, but you can't control. Okay. And what you're ended up doing is you're creating a two-way street. So the listener or the reader feels like they have some ownership in the conversation. So we did that in radio. We would make up stuff. We'd make up all these things that, that they were actually happening in the background, but we were just lying, we were just telling stories. And people would feel as though they had been on a journey with us, that they knew me personally, that I was talking to them and only them, right? And it wasn't just me, it was all my friends in radio. And so when I was I was number one in our, this is a long story, sorry, but so I was number one in my format, which is very unusual. This was a rare format. We were always like 20 or 21 in the market. And my bosses were like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't actually know. So I started to do some research and read, and I learned about the neuroscience of music listening. So Daniel Levitin wrote this very boring book, don't read it, called This Is Your Brain on
I
Music.
second
And
on that.
you know that you've been there. It's like it's hard to get through. I got through half of it, I think. So Charles, when your brain hears a new song, it instantly accesses every other song you've ever heard before, because it's trying to find a place. It's trying to look for the familiar touch points, so it knows where to index the new song in the memory of your brain, the library there, right? And guess what? Just like theater of the mind, it taps into nostalgia, memory, emotion. These are all the things that cue trust, and trust is why we buy. And so, last part of this story, it occurred to me, having written hundreds of commercials and I was a fiction writing major, that there was another similarity here. So, when you write me an email or a text message or a social media message, I'm going to hear your voice in my head as I read it. And so, if you're good at what you're doing, you're figuring out how to cue nostalgia and memory and emotion and trust in the words you're writing. Okay. So, we built Lately to do this. That's what we do. So we give you the exact words that will get people to take an action. And we help you sort of understand what are the ideas behind that, even the sentence structures. And we focus on social media in this way because because of social media analytics, as you all have had on your Twitter or Instagram accounts or whatever, we can create a very tight learning loop that's always referencing that data. So what we give you is always unique and relevant to you.
Fascinating. How many clients does that give you? You've been at it for 10 years now.
Yeah, we've pivoted quite a bit actually from self-service to SMB and enterprise. We have about a little over 500 clients now, and they vary from the groups as we're still pivoting. To be honest with you, it's been really this whole generative AI wave has given us a lot to think about. We want to make sure we have our lead, and to figure out how can we take all this information we've amassed and then finally get the opportunity to scale it.
How is JCal's accelerator?
Hard. I had to fly in a plane from New York, not the city, so the country, so a long flight, to California once a week, every week for 4 months. And here's a secret about me. I have a partial permanent disability and I can't type at all like you can. I use voice activated software because I have so much pain. And you can't use the voice activated software in the plane because it doesn't hear you, it hears everything. So 2 days a week, I had no work to get done. I was not productive on a plane. I had to meet people and talk to them. Oh my God, you know, and that's what I did. And it was
Right.
exhausting.
Yeah, I don't like traveling either in planes, the radiation up there. Can
It's
meditate or try to
sure.
sleep. That's what I do.
Can you
Yeah,
sleep sitting up?
yes.
Oh my God.
I can doze, It's not sleep. But yeah, no, I can sleep actually with my mouth open.
That's incredible. That's a superpower. I would love it.
Yeah,
Give it to
I
me.
don't think it's a superpower. I think a lot of people have that, but I cannot sleep on my back.
Oh,
I'm practicing that lately, and I think I succeeded in napping on my back, but somehow I can't. Every time I wake up, like jumping
yeah.
it's weird.
My brother taught himself to do that because he had such bad back pain,
Yeah,
actually. And yeah, so that's a good, you're supposed, it's the best way to sleep, I mean,
right. Yeah,
kudos to
that's why
you.
I'm trying it, or on the side. Now you had funding for that one. What are your top goals for this year?
Yeah, we just closed a round of funding. I'm so excited. Networking is what we do really well. We've built a network of super fans and really smart people, and the people that I've been able to pull in for this round just happen to be available at the right time. And I've most of them are guys, so I do feel like a little bit like Chrissy Hines, but that's cool. I can work with that. And we're really just focused on revealing more. What we're hearing people, so ChatGPT can write anything for you. Great, love it, good for them. Um, they can't write anything for you that's actually in your voice, and they can't write anything for you that is referencing your data or analytics, right? That's what we do really well. Um, but people still don't understand the why behind when something works well, why is it working? And that's what we aim to show people, because there's a learning gap here, Charles, and it's about writing. I mean, we can tell the whole world knows now that everybody hates writing. This is why ChatGPT is so successful. Okay, now this is, to me, is like so shocking, because this is how we communicate as a race. Honestly, right? What are we going to do? Just start grunting at each other? But it's, once you understand that, okay, saving time is great, but making money is more important. And that's the wave people are on now. And that's the wave we're trying to capitalize on, right? So that's what we do for our customers, is we actually make them substantially more money and save them time. So it's a double whammy. But you have to show them why in the process in order to get the deep buy-in. So we've been working with, you should interview him. I'll introduce you to my friend David Allison, who owns Value Graphics, which he consults the United Nations on telling them what values will make people do what you want them to do. Meaning, there's 54 values in the world, like community, productivity, family, etc. And like, what's the top motivator for your target audience? And once you know that, you can craft your messaging always touching on that value, right? And so my idea is to work this into what we're doing so that I can tell you why people not only do what they do, but why they buy, and in a long way of saying, turn the advertising landscape on its head.
Right. And what challenges have you faced in that 10 years running that startup?
Oh God. I mean, you know, I had a guy calling me Katie because his daughter's name is Katie, which is insulting because now he's basically equating me like a daughter, you know. And I had another guy who fell asleep on me during our meeting, like this. And I mean, I'm not boring, Charles, like, of all the things, you know. Um, Certainly that stuff has been really hard. I mean, we lost a team member. That was really painful. It still is really painful. Um, to, because he sucks. And there's a lot of friction there that is annoying. But I also think everything happens for a reason. Like, all the hardships we've been, like, we're still standing. I'm really proud of myself and my team. It takes a lot of courage to do this. Just, I'm sure you've talked about this before, but female founders only get 2% of all the venture funding available. So that means I have to work 98% harder than you do just to get any money, you know? And this is the game I signed up for. I didn't sign up for make nice little business. I signed up for scale the fuck out of it, right? um, I'd become a professional fundraiser as opposed to a professional software leader, which I think is pretty fucked up, like the way this industry goes. And the goalpost does keep moving, which is also really frustrating to me. Um, I have the biggest chip on my shoulder. It's huge. I want so badly to rub it in and, be like, I fucking did it, motherfuckers. You know?
I get that. Yeah, I have some of that too. Like me, when I see a female CEO founder, I'm like, I need to get her on the pod because she's an alien like me. That's my reflex. She comes from a very different mindset and background because it's not natural for uh, a female normally to go into that testosterone filled world, and start playing with the big boys sort of. So me, I'm all in, and I've discussed that extensively. I can connect you with a VC that, yeah, is actually investing fully into female founders. I have a couple of that actually. Actually, this one was a private equity fund, the one that I'm thinking about, European one. Anyway, so yeah, we've
Right.
discussed that. The chip on their shoulder, I think it's great. Obviously, it's everything is harder, but I think generally speaking, for everyone, founder or not, like this world keeps getting harder. And until like AGI happens and UBI becomes a thing, I think we're really like in squeeze mode. What do you think?
For sure. I mean, it's the hardest time to raise capital in the history of software startups. And I got a term sheet. I mean, I had a couple actually, and the terms were not my favorite, right? I mean, I put us in this position and I don't have any leverage or I didn't have enough leverage to, have my dream. But my, my founder my co-founder Brian appealed to my gambling nature, and he was like, "Come on, we've been working so hard for this. Don't you just want to see?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, I do. Of course I do. Of course I do. Fuck the dilution and all those kinds of things. Like, there's not a there yet, right? 0% of nothing is zero." Um, so, and by the way, on the founder note, like I have the most wonderful co-founders, Brian and Jason, and my team in general. I mean, so many of us have not taken paychecks so many times over the years, again and again and again and again. And I'm really proud to have been the leader of a team that's, this loyal and talented. And we operate pretty flatly too, Charles, which I always forget until someone makes me make an org chart and they look at it and they have this weird look in their face, like, why is this so weird? And I was like, I don't know, we work autonomously, don't you? Because I don't understand. Like, I worked in corporate life before at XM and elsewhere, and I hated it. And I don't want to treat anybody that way.
Right. Yeah, so much insights. Thanks for the rawness. I think a lot of people nowadays also have, maybe last question, they have a problem with being honest or swearing and being wrong and telling your truth out there. And yeah, just putting it all out there. Like, why do people fear judgment in the professional context of things?
That's such a good way to put it. I always like to joke and say my edit button is broken. But I've found that it serves me best. Like, I've made the best connections, the best sales decisions, the most money. I'm the most happiest when I can totally be my unfiltered, warts and all self. And she's fun, like, you know and I'm able to find people who, like I said, can be the opposite of me, so then we can work together. And um I'm it's funny, like we talked about not knowing when you're doing well or not celebrating um your own successes, but like I am really proud of that. And it took a long time to have the confidence, as you just pointed out, because that's what it takes to be that way. And that in large part is because of my husband David. I mean, he definitely was able to um I don't know. I don't He wouldn't say this to me, but I can tell that like he saw through that and um and identified it to me in my mind as like beautiful, wonderful. And I feel like shit is hard. It is so hard. And if you can't laugh, right? If it's not making you laugh, then it is so not worth it. And like I could have had a million other jobs and made so much more money than I'm making now. And like, why am I doing this total torture thing? This is fucking torture, right? Because I love it. I'm so excited. Here's what I love, by the way. I love that we can produce and iterate and see results every day. There's no waiting around. You know what I mean? We're making something. We've already made something. We're building it better every day. And that's part of, let's go circle back, my ability to see the problems is about that, right? So like you're looking at what you built, you're getting your feedback, you're saying, oh shit, we got to fix this. Okay, let's just do it. Is it worth fixing? Do we have enough information, or should we just do it later? Like those kinds of judgments. But like, for people who like haven't gotten here yet, where they can't just be kind of warts and all, and I know it's not for everybody. I, I, it seems to me like so like I have a panic attack when I can't say what I want to say, and it's right here. You know what I mean? And so I think when you listen to your body, you're down with this. I know you are. I know you, by what we've talked about before. When you're in tune with your body and there's pain, it's fucking telling you something,
Yeah.
right? And I think those people maybe aren't listening.
Yeah. Hmm. The consciousness, right? Like, self-consciousness. That's been a question that's been eluding me for a while. How do you get that? Because me, I've always been philosophically curious, like in my drunken days, I just like have conversations with people at parties for like hours about life and all of that. So always been like self-conscious. Then I guess meditation really brought it onto me. So
Yeah.
yeah, like where do you feel pain? Is it like lower back? Is it yeah, like sometimes in the neck and so forth. So I guess like yeah, meditating and self-scanning your body and
Yeah.
trying to understand like why do I have this pain after I've got this very stressful day, and mechanisms to release that pain. I like literally bought a sauna here so that every day I'm going in the sauna and it's so relaxing. And then I have this meditation cushion. Every time I walk in front of it, I need to meditate. So yeah, I guess you need to have
Right.
those too.
You do. And it's hard when you're younger. I feel like it's harder to know how to invest in that stuff. I remember when we got married and we went on our first honeymoon, like I'd never been on a vacation, not with family, like a true, go for it vacation. And I remember we asked the people who married us to marry us because we looked up to their marriage. And I asked them about investing in time off together. And like because I thought it was a waste of money because it seemed you would just evaporate it in a week, And they're like, no, it's the most important investment you can make in yourself and your marriage. Um, and now I really understand how true that is. And I remember thinking like, when I'm eating ramen and $2 chuck, and like that's all I can afford, that this sounded ridiculous to me. Who are these people? Like, but somehow when you start making the time to do that, you do attract more of it. Like that is really true. I know it sounds kind of fluffy, but um, when you're able to surround yourself with the stuff that you aspire to, whatever it is, money, intelligence, calm, whatever it is, there's an osmosis that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Very
Yeah.
important stuff. This week, for example, I took like more time off. There's no like particular reasons, not like if I was feeling burned out, but I was like, why don't I experiment having less meetings? Normally I get like 100 meetings per week, which is quite intense.
That's
But I like
intense.
it too. It's the podcast and all of that. But yeah, this week it's like more calm and creative. So yeah, I used to block 1 week every quarter. And the realization of that was that I would synthesize information during these weeks and really come with game changers, right? Like
Mhm.
5% improvers rather than the daily 0.1% improvers. So, and that
Totally.
feels good. It's like, oh shit, we're moving forward now. Thanks for that convo. It's been amazing. Where can people find out more about you, Kate?
Oh, I love you so much. Thank you. Feel free to get me online in all the spaces, folks. I'm Kate Lee a lot. Kate Lee rhymes with lately. LinkedIn is a good place. I think I'm under Kate Bradley Chernis there. Kate Bradley, I can't even remember, but lately is www.lately.ai. And we might be robot centered, but we're all a bunch of humans and we're pretty friendly.